લાસ્ટ ફિલ્મ શોના વિશે બધે બહુ જ ન્યૂઝ ને બધી બહુ જ ઘણી બધી વાતો અત્યાર સુધી આવી ચૂકી છે. હમણાં એક રિસન્ટલી એક નાનો ઇન્સિડન્સ થઈ ગયો છે, તમને બધાને ખબર હશે. રાહુલનું જે હમણાં ડેથ થયું. આપણે ફક્ત 2 મિનિટ માટે એક મૌન પાડી અને પછી આપણે પ્રેસ કોન્ફરન્સ સ્ટાર્ટ કરીએ છીએ. હું ઓમ શાંતિ કહીશ, પછી વી કેન સ્ટાર્ટ ધ પ્રેસ કોન્ફરન્સ. બેસો, કોઈ વાંધો નથી. આપણે મૌન જ પાડવાનું છે 2 જ મિનિટ માટે. खड़े होके करते हैं. यस सर, लेट्स डू दैट. यस यस. અને આજે એકચ્યુઅલી એનું 13મું છે. ફેમિલીએ પણ બહુ સેન્સિટિવલી કીધું છે કે લેટ્સ નોટ ટોક અબાઉટ ધીસ, એટલે વી વિલ ઓલ્સો નોટ ટોક અબાઉટ ધીસ. લેટ્સ હેવ અ સાયલેન્સ ફોર 2 મિનિટ્સ. થેન્ક યુ. Om Shanti. Thank you. We'll ask Sir to start the press conference. Sure.
Thank you, everyone. Very welcome to your found time to come and meet us. Anyway, I think we were supposed to get our couple of kids, but they've been busy with their own stuff, and on top of that, Rahul ceremonies today. So hopefully by evening, mainly our lead role, which is played by Bhavin Rabari, જે કાઠિયાવાડના વસઈ ગામથી આવે છે, ભાવિન રબારી, એ બપોર સુધીમાં આપણી સાથે જોડાઈ જશે, જેણે સમયનો રોલ કરેલો છે. સો પ્લીઝ બેર વિથ અસ. મીનવાઇલ અહીંયા મારી બાજુમાં છે ભાવેશ શ્રીમાની. He has done a Fazal, role of Fazal, who is a film projectionist in Chhello show. Dipen Bhai is playing father of Samay, and Dheer is the producer of the film, and I'm the writer director, and Nalin. So we are 4 of us are here to meet you, and today is our big day because we are opening the film across India, and we've been totally overwhelmed by the kind of response we've been getting. You know, whether we had a screening in Hyderabad, Kochi, Mumbai, Gujarat, but for us, after all, a Gujarati film છે, એટલે અમારા માટે મુખ્ય મહત્વની વાત ગુજરાતમાં કે વધારે લોકો જોવા આવે, અને એટલા માટે જ અમદાવાદમાં પણ અમે આવ્યા છીએ પ્રીમિયર શો કરવા માટે. પહેલેથી જ ડિસાઇડ કરેલું કે અમદાવાદ જઈને 14મીએ પ્રીમિયર કરશું, અને રાહુલ અને છોકરાઓને લીધે કાલે અમે રાજકોટમાં જશું પ્રીમિયર માટે, કારણ કે જે રાહુલ જેને મનુનો સપોર્ટિંગ રોલ કરેલો છે, એની ફેમિલીના બધા એના ફ્રેન્ડ, સ્કૂલ મિત્રો બધા કાલે અમારી સાથે રાજકોટમાં જોડાશે કાલે સાંજના શોમાં. બસ તો એટલું. I think this is good. Just brief introduction. બાકી બધું let's have your questions, and આ બધા ગુજરાતીઓ બોલે જ છે. આ ભાઈ થોડું કચ્છી broken ગુજરાતી, English, Hindi. Okay.
How did you get the idea of this film?
The idea of Chhello show was born out of one of my visit to my father, who lives in Amreli, some 10 years ago, and he told me that my childhood friend Mohammed Bhai was in bad shape. I should go and see him. So when I met him, he used to be the projector operator in a cinema hall, and he had lost his job. And one of the reason he lost job was that most of the cinemas were going digital. And when this cinema went digital, you need minimum knowledge of English, you know, to run computer, laptop, you know, you have to download the film. And if you know, that generation of projector operators were doing mechanical projections, you know. So he was not the only one. There were literally hundreds and thousands of them were unemployed. And so when I met him, he was selling on a push cart, Hatlari Mathi, Shakbaji Vettara. So I was really touched that what happened to him. From this man who spent his entire life in projection rooms talking about cinema. એટલે એને કીધું કે ભાઈ આ બધા પ્રોજેક્ટર તોડીને એની તો કટોરી બની ગઈ ને હવે તો બધું it's been scrapped. So that stayed with me for a while. And together with my own childhood, growing up in Amreli, the villages around Amreli, Dhari, so there was a recollection of my obsession with cinema. I used to bunk school and watch film. Then later I started swapping my lunchbox with the projectionist, So he will eat my school lunchbox free and let me watch movies for free. So there were these ideas as well. So Mohammed Bhai's story was a projectionist and my story together became the main, I would say, the main plot of Chhello film.
So while making, did you ever thought about Oscar? This is going to be an entry for that.
Oh, while making, when I make movie, I never think of any Oscar or any award or any festival. I always make movie to be loved by people. We always make movie that, we hope maximum people can see it. We hope that it has a big release, like every filmmaker's dream. My dream was that. But somewhere during the line, as we finished the film and we started doing a lot of international premiere, we were invited to New York, to do in Robert De Niro's festival, to do the world premiere. And after that, many awards and many distributors started acquiring the film. At that moment, Dheer, had predicted, he was pretty certain that we might just end up somewhere there. Maybe you would.
Yeah, I think, like Nalin said, that we are at the end of the day in service of the audience. And of the people that eventually come to watch the film. All of the awards and the festivals and stuff end up being milestones in that, because we are a film without any big stars. The way Nalin casted the film, of course we have two huge stars sitting here now. But there was an opportunity to make the film in Hindi, to cast Hindi Bollywood actors in it. But I think Nalin wanted to stick by his guns and say that this film has to be made in Gujarati. It has to be made with the actors that would be the most appropriate for the role. So then, marketing for the film, distribution for the film becomes slightly difficult. But then when you bring awards or when you go to festivals, automatically distributors and exhibitors get confidence in your film and then they want to push it out a lot more. So even when India's entry to the Oscar got announced, we were quite happy because we knew that, exhibitors, theatre owners, distributors, they will have more confidence to put the film in primetime shows across the country, give it, the kind of release that it deserves. Like Nalin said, as we were making actually even before we made the film, when Nalin told me the story of his own childhood, and he narrated it to me with so much detail and so much nostalgia, I knew at that time that the story was incredible. I knew we had a winner on our hands. So I remember telling him way before it was even a script, and probably in his head it was still getting scripted. I told him that this needs to be a film and it will be watched all over the world. So when he eventually decided to make it and he called me and he said, let's do it together, I said I will dedicate my whole time and effort and whatever I can to make this happen. So somewhere I knew that we were making a special film, and I knew that it deserves even more than the Oscar, it deserves that the whole world and as many people in the world get to watch it. Not only for us and not only because we want our work to be watched, but I feel like people will get inspired when they watch the film. They'll see a young boy's journey, they'll see him really grow out of himself and overcome so many barriers that life would possibly throw at him. So I feel like in that sense it should get watched by as many people.
What was your first reaction? Like you heard it's an entry now. So what was your first?
So we were of course extremely excited, exuberant. There was moments of pure joy. And then we were honored that we get to represent India as India's entry and get to represent India on a global scale. And of course we felt a heavy responsibility because we had a brief moment of celebration, but right after that, an hour later we got to work, because now is really where the big work begins. Because getting selected as India's entry, of course, is great, but to make that nomination and to get that win, we really need to work hard. And we've had really good partners. We've had Orange Studio in France, which is our world sales agent. They have won, I think, 8 Oscars or 7 Oscars in the last 5 years for films like The Artist and The Father. We have Samuel Goldwyn Films in the US, which is our US distributor. It's a legacy company. Samuel Goldwyn is one of the forefathers of Hollywood. And they've won 4 nominations and 1 foreign language Oscar in the last 3 years. So they really know how to navigate the Oscar campaign, how to get as many members of the Academy to watch the film. So we feel like we're in good hands, and together with Roy Kapoor Films, who's our producer, unfortunately he could not be here today, Sid, we're quite positive that we'll be able to really take the film to the next level.
What are the criteria or points do you think that has led this film to the Oscar entry?
So I think that there's no real criteria. The FFI, the Film Federation of India, every year puts a jury together, which is made up of between 15 to 20 jury members. And most of them are, and this year specifically, most of them were national award winners. So I think they try to look at films that they feel will have a very local, authentic storytelling, something that's true to the filmmaker, true to the country, that represents the culture of the country, and that would have global themes, So if you look at any of the past Oscar foreign language winners, films that have come from Lebanon or from Italy or from France or anything that have won, they've been very authentic to the storyteller, to the filmmaker, to the director's voice, but they've had global themes. Similarly with our film, while it's set in a small village in Saurashtra, in Kathiawad, and it's in Kathiawadi dialect, so and it's Nalin's own personal story, and we shot few kilometers from where he grew up, on a similar train station on which he used to spend most of his time on when he was younger.
So all the film is shooted in Gujarat itself?
Yeah, all has been shot completely in in and around Amreli. So about 15 kilometers from Amreli, there's a train station called Dheer. We've shot in.
Child actors in Mumbai, then in Ahmedabad. They looked in places like where all the but it was still, we were not convinced. Then we went to Saurashtra. Then we gave up the idea of looking for child actor, and we said let's look for non-actor, because what's great about India and Gujarat especially, and more so about Kathiawad, I knew that there's talent everywhere. Some of them, they don't get recognized. So I was convinced there has to be some kid somewhere. So we started the casting process, but that was again challenging, because when you go to the small villages in Kathiawad, one of our casting director was just beaten up by mob mentality, because they thought he had come to kidnap kids, because he was asking around, koi nana chokra, koi acting, so they just got together and came, maro lakdi lene bada. There were 100 people. Luckily, the teacher who had seen him in the school came and rescued him, said, no, he's a casting director. They are genuinely looking for kids who can go and act. So there were these challenges in order to make this film. Yeah.
So how much time actually the film got made, because you were searching for the child actors, and then you have to make the film. You have to give that time to build the talent. So like, what is the whole time when the film actually got made?
So the whole timeline was that we started. First of all, we decided in 2019 that we are really going to go and shoot in Gujarati. We are good. Some important creative decisions were taken that we will have non-actor and we are going to shoot entire film in Kathiawad. So once that was locked, the production team, headed by Hemant and Yash, and the young producers, two of them are from Ahmedabad, Kashyap Kapta and Ronak Goswami. They all went to try and find how can we make this possible. Because most places we wanted to shoot, there were not enough places to stay for the crew for such a long time. So we started filming in around 2019, but before that there were about 6-7 months of preparation in terms of finding old cinema hall, trying to get permission for the railway, because we wanted to shoot in as many as natural locations. And then just before pandemic, we managed to, literally wrap our shoot. The problem was that in 2020, most of the world went into lockdown. And we were not even motivated to continue editing because we didn't know what the future will look like. No one was even excited to finish the film. So almost 6-7 months was a very tough time because we were not at all. We didn't know what will happen to the film. Cinema halls were closing down. Even the festival where we usually go to sell the film were going virtual. So one thing we decided, we will not show this film virtual. We will not sell it to OTT. We will not, because it is a story of a cinema hall in a cinema. It's a film about film. So we will resist. So when vaccine came and all that, we got excited and we started, that okay, we could probably finish. It's a good time to bring this film out. The real encouragement came from Robert De Niro's Tribeca Film Festival. When they reached out and said like, oh my God, what have you made? And we said like, what? We are even surprised because we were all coming out of such dark time. And they said, okay, you are officially selected. And then they told us you will be doing the opening of something called Spotlight Section with red carpet, and it will be an in-person event in New York. So this is when I would say, the whole process from scripting to now is nearly 4.5 years. Yes. Sorry.
The spotlight thing was.
Well, that was July 2021, last year. So we had not even fully completed the film. We went there with a film was not totally locked, and then we still did the remakes, then the Omicron came because we were going to release the movie in December last year in India. Then again, cinemas were shut, because of Omicron wave. And when they opened, there was such a backlog of big movies. So we said, let's go to the other country because the Spanish-German release has started for our film in March this year, March 22. So the Spain was a big release, Germany was a big release, Norway. So we were just trying to find a good date for India. Then with Sid Roy Kapoor and Roy Kapoor Films, we locked on 14th October. And since 3 months, we've been going around showing movies. This is not first time to Ahmedabad. We came here twice to show the movie long before even the nomination was announced. We didn't know there was a nomination. And we had a really, really good response here, from a lot of Gujarati film industry people and the audience and influencers and writers. We had also taken the movie to Gujarati International Film Festival in Atlanta, where the jury gave us the best Gujarati picture of 2022 award. That was, I think, again in July this year. So all that was happening, and we were just working towards today's date, 14th October, for the release. This news was, we of course had submitted because we believed let's submit the film because our American distributor, Samuel Goldwyn Film, seriously believed that he used in media, if you read his interview, this is a strong contender, India must send this. And he's been saying this since 1 year, but no one in media paid any attention because we didn't have big stars, we didn't have big studios, we didn't have big streamers. If you really Google, you will see, he said like way back in November, that India should send. Now he's an experienced guy, who has done so many films. Similar statement was given by Orange Studios some 8-10 months ago in Venice Festival, that last film show is a serious contender from India, they should send it. So that was there, and they really insisted we should submit it. So we did submit the film, not knowing what the result will be, because as we all know, there was such a strong buzz of so many films, and we just, personally, I didn't know what goes on, and how the films will be chosen, and it was a big mystery. So when the news came out, we were really thankful to Film Federation of India and the 17 jury member who literally anonymously voted for it, unanimously, all of them said this film. There was not even a doubt saying, oh, majority 13 and 4, 17 out of 17. Yeah.
Is there any unforgettable memory during making the film?
Now we have many unforgettable memory because especially as Rahul Kohli, who has gone away, because he was really fun on the location, and he used to love the light boys, who had come from Mumbai, and very often, we were a little strict with them because they have to not only act but go back and do their homework at the base. So they had So one day they had, when we arrived on the set, all the children had taken over the camera, lighting, and then they were acting like the film crew. Said action, light, roll, sound. They were imitating to tell us that how your job is very easy, and the people who are in front of camera, their job is very tough. So and we have never laughed so much, because they were hilarious. They copied each member, the assistant director, the cameraman, everyone's role. So they were so smart. They were observing how each one speaks. It was a bit like being on a comedy show, and they were just went on and on and on to complete the whole scene. And I think for me that was this unbelievable moment, and I would never forget that. Yeah.
Is there any likelihood that some of them may grow up as mimicry artists?
I think two are surely. two. I mean, let me tell you, one of the best mimicry artists is Bhavin bhai. He is doing some really. He used to keep us entertained. Because he does this Amitabh Bachchan and he sings very well the role, and so you will also see some of his role where he is doing some dialogues. नहीं भाई हमें मिमिक्री करो अच्छा
कुछ वॉइसेस है मेरे गले में, लाइक अमिताभ सर, शाहरुख सर, शत्रुघ्न सर, फिर मैं गा सकता हूँ तो
Can we have some sample, please? Can we have something from your side?
कुछ बोलो वॉइस में.
Yes, that would be great.
देवी और सज्जनों, आप सबको यहाँ पर पाकर और देखकर बहुत बड़ी खुशी हो रही है. हृदय हर्षित हो गया है हमारा. सो इसी तरह से हम लोग बार बार लगातार प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करते रहेंगे और मिलते ही रहेंगे. आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू.
Are you going to keep a show for PM, sir? This is a pride moment also. PM and CM both.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it would be an honor. I think that now that we're representing India, I feel like it is not only our film, it's all our films. And we do feel like not only the PM, anyone who has overcome a huge obstacle in their life and has seen themselves grow into, something of, made something of themselves, I feel like will connect to this film. There are so many entrepreneurs, who have watched the film, who run big businesses, industrialists, and when they watch the film, they don't feel like it's a film about a boy who wants to be a director or wants to become films or wants to be part of the film industry. They see themselves in the boy. Because Samay's role and Samay's story, the way Nalin has written it, it will connect to anyone who wants to persevere. It's about the human spirit. And I feel like there's been no better person to, represent what it means to be the human spirit and overcome their own boundaries than the PM, than so many other industrialists in our country. Because India is actually a story of untapped potential, anyone who's, from the smallest of villages, from train stations, from being different professions out in the world, whether, from being a chai wala to being anything, the potential that you have and the human potential that India is able to sort of harness is massive. And I feel like this film is a representation of that. So we would love to show it to him and to, anyone else who would feel connected to the story.
What message do you think the film is sending to the audience?
So I think that's really, for me, what I connected with the film. I mean, different people connect to different things. Some people would watch the film and get hungry because of the amazing Kathiawadi food that Nalin, what's it called, dal dhokli, patra, some really incredible food shots. Some people would connect and remember their own childhood with their friends, where you would run around the whole day and play and, go into the water and go swimming with your friends. Some people would connect to the films. India is a place where films have been loved and appreciated by so many people for so many generations now, and we are very passionate about films. So when you watch the film, you will connect to your own first film memory. You will start thinking about the first time you went to the cinema, You will start remembering what it felt like to go to a single screen cinema where kabutars were flying around. where you would go for shows from 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. You will remember those times of the cinema that we remember. And for me personally, it's about the future. It's about the future of India, the future of this young boy. One line that the teacher says in the film, for me it was the most incredible. It says "Bhano ane bhago." It means learn and leave. Because sometimes what happens is you get to learn, but you get stuck in the same place where you grew up, and you get stuck where there's not enough potential. Not that moving to a city is some big deal and some great thing that you should do. Some people are very happy where they are, and that's great. But if you have the intention to go and build something big, and to, for example, with Nalin's story, to go and make international films like Samsara and Valley of Flowers, which are not only watched by Indian people but are watched worldwide. Samsara, which is Nalin's first film, was distributed in 35 countries by Miramax, which is a massive Hollywood studio. And to think that a young boy from a town, a countryside in Saurashtra, is able to make a film in Ladakhi language like Samsara, and the whole world is able to watch it. I feel like that's just it's a representation of how strong a dream can get. So this film is about following your dreams and being able to overcome any obstacle that life throws you. So it's a story of the human spirit, of human perseverance, of what we can achieve if we believe in ourselves. So that's really what I take away from the film.
Nalin, like you said that most of these actors are like, they have not acted before in any film. And those children, like, can you share some of the backgrounds of those actors?
Children,
some
I think
of these interesting backgrounds.
पहले तो before I give another thing, Mr. दीपेन भाई आप अपना background थोड़ा बताएं, बाद में बच्चों के बात करेंगे.
જી, મારું નામ દીપેન રાવત છે. છેલ્લા 25 વર્ષથી આપણા ગુજરાતમાં હું અમદાવાદનો જ છું, લોકલ છું, અને ઘણી બધી મેં સિરિયલ્સ અને નાટકો અને ફિલ્મો અહીંયા કરેલી છે. વાત મજાની એ છે કે એક એક્ટર તરીકે સરનું મોટામાં મોટું કામ એ હતું કે એમણે એકદમ ક્લિયર પ્યોર ફિલ્મ બનાવી હતી. એમને ઘણા બધા લોકો એવા મળ્યા કે ભાઈ કાસ્ટિંગમાં કે વાય યુ આર નોટ કાસ્ટિંગ સેલેબ્સ, તો એમણે વિઝન એમનું ક્લિયર હતું કે મારે પ્યોર ફિલ્મ બનાવવી છે. અને અમદાવાદ, ગુજરાતના જે ગુજરાતી સ્પીકર્સ છે, એક્ટર્સ, અને જે ગુજરાતી સમજે છે, ગુજરાતી ફીલ કરી શકે છે, એવા જ કલાકારોને લઈને પહેલા તો ફિલ્મ બનાવી છે. અને એટલા માટે એમણે સ્ટ્રિક્ટ એમની વાત પર સ્ટ્રિક્ટ રહ્યા કે ભાઈ નહીં, મારે કોઈ સેલેબ કે નથી જોયું. એમને ઘણા બધા લોકો એવા મળ્યા હતા કે ભાઈ આમને કાસ્ટ કરો, આમને કાસ્ટ કરો, ફલાણાને કાસ્ટ કરો, બટ એ પ્યોર હાર્ટથી ફિલ્મ બનાવવા માંગતા હતા જે બધાને ટચ થાય. એટલે એમણે ઓડિશન્સને બધું વર્કઆઉટ કર્યું, જેમાંથી સરને મારું ઓડિશન બહુ જ ગમ્યું અને સીધું કે ભાઈ ફાધરના રોલમાં દીપેન રાવલ ફિટ છે એ જોઈએ છે, સીધો લોક કર્યો મને. આ પહેલા ઘણા બધા ઓડિશન એમણે લીધા હતા. ધેન જે વાત મૂળ છોકરાઓની છે, તો છોકરાઓમાં પણ અહીંયા અમદાવાદના ઘણા બધા છોકરાના એમને ઓડિશન કર્યા હતા, પણ આપણે સિટીના છોકરાઓ છે એ સીધા કહીએ ને કે સીધા સ્ટાર કેમેરા સામે ઓડિશન આવ્યું એટલે એ લોકો એવી રીતે એક્ટિંગ કરવા લાગ્યા. અને સૌથી સરસ બીજી એક વાત કરું, એક એક્ટર તરીકે મને પહેલો ચેન્જ એ લાગેલો કે ઓડિશન વખતે તમારા જે પ્રશ્નો છે કે તમે ખબર હતી કે આ જગ્યાએ પહોંચશે, ઓસ્કારની તો કદાચ એ વખતે ખબર નથી, પણ ઓડિશનમાં જ્યારે પગ મૂક્યો મેં એક્ટર તરીકે, મેં આગળ ઘણું બધું કામ કર્યું છે, એટલે ખાસ હું એ જે ચેન્જ હોય ને એ હું જોઈ શક્યો. ઓડિશનમાં પગ મૂકતાની સાથે મને એટલી ખબર પડી કે કંઈક હું બીજી જગ્યાએ આવ્યો છું જે આજ સુધી મેં નથી કર્યું. આપણે અત્યારે જેમ વાત કરી રહ્યા છીએ, આજ મારું ઓડિશન. સો આઈ ફીલ ડિફરન્ટ કે ભાઈ નહીં, કંઈક હું અલગ કરવા જઈ રહ્યો છું ને આમાં બહુ મજા પડશે. દેન આખી પ્રોસેસ શરૂ થઈ, અને એટલે જ ગામડે ગામડે જઈ અને સૌથી અઘરી પ્રોસેસ જ એ હતી કે કાસ્ટિંગ. સરના દિમાગમાં બહુ ક્લિયર છે કે ભાઈ ફઝલ તો આ જ પ્રકારનો હોય, બાપુજી આ જ પ્રકારનો હોય, બા આ જ પ્રકારના હોય, અને સમય કેવો છે એમના બહુ ક્લેરિટી હતી. અને એટલે જ 3000-4000 છોકરાઓના ગામડે ગામડે જઈને જે બધા પ્રોબ્લેમ્સ કીધા, આ બધા પ્રોબ્લેમ ફેસ કરી એમને જે કાસ્ટિંગ જોઈતું હતું એ જ એમણે કાસ્ટિંગ કર્યું. અધરવાઇઝ એ ઘણી બધી જગ્યાએ એમને એપ્રોચ ઘણા બધા લોકોએ કર્યો હશે કે આમને લો તેમને લો, આ છોકરાને લો, ઘણા ચાલતા છોકરાઓ પણ હોય, પણ દે ઓલ આર ફિલ્મી, યુ નો. અને સરનું એવું છે કે ફિલ્મી નહીં, નેચરલ એક્ટર, નેચરલ મારે જોઈએ છે અને નેચરલ વસ્તુ લોકો સુધી પહોંચાડવી છે. ધેટ્સ ઇટ સર.
So natural actors. No, I think the most important thing in the children, because I knew Samay is also has to carry the whole film on his shoulder, and he has to be supported by actor. So the biggest difficulty in the city, it's not children's fault, it's the parents who teach them acting. So when you audition here, they have a very different way of acting, Either they are influenced by popular cinema or reality TV show. So children's originality, authenticity we found just not there. Like they are always imitating somebody. Like the moment they come in, ऐसे छाती निकाल के सर हाँ बोलो क्या लाइन बोलना है. And 10 साल का भी नहीं है. So it's like अरे तू भाई लाइन मत बोल बैठ जा. So I think that's really sad. I feel कि जो natural और दूसरे बच्चे थे उन्होंने बहुत सारे टीवी कमर्शियल किए थे, तो उनके साथ तो हमारा बिल्कुल चला नहीं. तो दिलीप शंकर जो हमारे साथ कास्टिंग में थे और पूरी टीम थी, तभी हमने इतना बड़ा फिल्म है, रिस्क होगा लेकिन नॉन एक्टर के जाके ढूंढते हैं. Why not? Because I had done it in Valley of Flower in Ladakh. We had used Nomad. So with Dilip we said, why not we look? If we did it once, maybe there is a scope. So Bhavin, who comes from a small village near Jamnagar, he was really good in his studies, number one, and he had 2 cows, 1 bhash, 1 buffalo, living simple life. His father is a Rabari who have been driving bus, and earlier they used to have camel. So he belongs to the Rabari tribe, and we have 5 other kids. One of them is Soban, who is from a Siddhi community. Because when I grew up as a kid, I used to have a Siddhi friend, and their origins are in Africa. If you go to Sasangi, you will see a lot of them. So as a kid, when I grew up, I thought people like Siddhi will be everywhere in India. So when I reached, there were no one. So I realized that was kind of a unique thing. We also have Vikas Bata, whose father is a Mochi, in Popandar. So he plays, get dubbed in more other languages, besides the subtitle. So subtitle, there are people who specialized in subtitling the film in Spanish, German and English. And they usually find something equivalent. It's very rarely they don't do a literal translation, but find something which will carry the same sense of humor. But talking about Chhello show, it's pretty much a visual storytelling, because we have just so many people who have walked up to us and told us, like, look, it doesn't matter, we even don't read subtitles, we can still get the whole story. And that's quite possible because these days the audience is much more smarter than filmmakers, so they already know what's going to happen and they can predict and all that. But it's not a heavy film to watch in terms of subtitles, because we have a lot of segments where there are scenes where people don't talk, just visual storytelling.
Chhello show આ દીકરો જે ગુજરી ગયો એને જોયો?
Chhello
show એને ફિલ્મ જોયો?
Basically he hasn't seen the full completed film. That was our wish, and we never thought he will go so soon. He was here in Ahmedabad. We were constantly in touch with him since 3 months in the hospital, and the way the doctors were optimistic about successful bone marrow transplant, we were doing tests with. He has 2 younger brothers, so we were doing tests. So it was all really looking positive that okay, maybe there is a hope, maybe there is something which can be done, and but then I guess nature had some other plan.
ખરેખર આ છેલ્લો શો એના માટે એક છેલ્લો શો બને.
એના માટે છેલ્લો શો. I mean, in a way, just 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, I was talking to his father as they are preparing the Kriyakaram Termu. So in a way, since last 3-4 days, the family has been feeling really good that he acted in Chhello show. Because they feel, oh, અમારો છોકરો અમર થઈ ગયો, સાહેબ અમારો છોકરો અમર થઈ ગયો, બધા બહુ સારું સારું કહે છે. So they are getting good news, because jene film joyi che, they have reached out and said, oh, Manu, role is called Manu, he is so good and he's very touching. So I'm really happy that they see it that way, in a positive way. The intention is, we told them to focus on 3 other kids, 2 other brother and sister. And now with Dheer, we have decided we are going to go and help them all the way, because all kids have become now like to us a family. It's not just for us to film and it's over. So we'll make sure that we do something in our little power to make sure that he's remembered in a good way. Yeah.
Is this film going to be a tax-free?
Yes, I think you should definitely ask our PM and CM, please. Please request them.
All the best for that.
No, because I really feel that more and more young children are watching the movie. It was a surprise to me, because we had screening in Taiwan and in Switzerland and in South Korea, where children, the jury was made up of children, and very rarely they like different type of film. But when they gave us the Best Picture award, they relate to this film across the world. Because it's one of those movies, 8 to 80 years can enjoy together. When you go and watch it, you will see. Because it tells children very simply that don't use any excuse. As our tagline says, when you have nothing, nothing can stop you. The same way, don't make any excuse. If you have dream, just go for it.
You should make some special shows for students itself from the schools.
Yes, it's already being done. It's being planned. There are a lot of student shows being planned. Yeah.
What is the actual budget?
Actual budget.
So, it's very difficult to put a budget around a film like this, because a lot of the cast and crew and people have deferred their fees, because the idea with the film was, when you're making a film without a studio, without a star, without a streamer, and you want to achieve a very high cinematic quality, which is what Nalin wanted, you need to have all your resources that you can see on the screen. So, like for example, Nalin and me and any of our lead HODs have not taken any fees. In fact, Nalin had to sell some assets. I had to sell some assets to even make the film, to even start it. So it's very difficult to put a number and a budget on the film, and I feel like that's more a business discussion. What I think we have to focus on is the sort of cinematic quality that we've achieved. Anyone who watches this film, whether it's in India or abroad, in festivals, in distributors, they can't believe that this is an independent film, because it's been shot like an epic. If you watch the whole climax sequence, it's like it's bigger than an action sequence. It's sometimes even more grander and larger. And I feel like you can't give anyone credit for that apart from Pan Nalin, because the way he's able to create I think it's somewhat in the film as well, when you see what the young boys, what they're able to do with just scrap metal that they find in scrap yards. They're able to create a projector which they use to show their whole village films. Similarly, with very limited resources, Nalin is able to create something huge. What we do know is that we've had some of the top shelf talent of the country and of the world working on the film. So Swapnil Sonavne, who's our cinematographer, he is one of the most sought after cinematographers in all of India. His first film, his first series that he did after he had worked with Nalin, on a documentary and on a film called Angry Indian Goddesses, and his first series was called Sacred Games. And I think it was nominated for an international Emmy, or it was received super well all over the world. After that, you can never find Swapnil Sonavne's dates. Every big Bollywood producer is trying to find Swapnil Sonavne to do a film, but he came on board and with no fees gave 1 year of his time to Nalin, 1 year of a cinematographer's time. That you cannot put value to. Similarly, Hari Kumar, who's our sound recordist, is a national award winner from Kerala. And he stopped doing movies 5, 7, 10 years ago because he didn't feel respected. He didn't feel that anyone in India respects sound. And for Nalin, sound is one of the most important things. Even though people don't realize it, we think, we have to get a good DOP and shoot beautiful images. But actually, when you watch this film, you'll realize that the sound design of the film and the way the trains, the train tracks, the way the birds, the wind, everything has a texture which plays as a background score, the music. Now coming to music, Cyril Morin is one of the most sought after, he's a French composer. He did the music on the film. He lives between France and LA now. He's been nominated for multiple international awards and worked on some huge films. He's someone who's been collaborating with Nalin for many years. As soon as he read the script, he said, I'm on board. Similarly, we had a French DI colorist and 2 French sound designers, who have won multiple César Awards, have been nominated for Oscars, Global Golden Globe. So we have, for our post-production, we have used an incredible team from France. So I think that these are things that you cannot ascribe value to, it's beyond value. So that's why it would be difficult for me to comment on what the budget is. But if you watch the film, and if anyone can predict what the budget is, I will give that person an award.
Yeah, I think more than the budget, normally for audience is very difficult to perceive where did the budget go. If they see big action scene and some 20,000 extra, they think money would have gone there. But in reality, even you can end up spending a lot of money just trying to mix 10 type of wind in your movie. Because it's really expensive job. First of all, you have to go and record the wind in Kathiawad. You have to record the train. You have to have 5.1 mic. You have to get all the insects. So the one aim was that we wanted, even though it's a Kathiawadi story, but the treatment, cinematic treatment, has to be top notch. So if you go out, it doesn't look like a Garib film. When Hollywood is watching it, because the people who know how to make movie, they will know it has a top notch cinematography, sound design, music, editing. Nowhere we have left, the quality of the film go down. Even the color grading, which can take as much as 8 weeks, we gave 8 weeks. Sound editing took nearly 4.5 months. We did 4.5 months of sound editing. So these are some important aspects of filmmaking per se. And maybe some of these reasons are very important. When you make so-called quality cinema, the standard. It's like any product you make, every product has a standard. So when you go to the Academy or to the Oscar, those standards will shortly be looked at. That's why they have many categories. They have an award for the best makeup and hair design, best sound design, best editing. So these are, so we have just used, I would say, at the most top-notch technician to achieve this.
Like you came back to Gujarati. This is your first Gujarati language venture,
Yes, yeah. This is my first Gujarati film. Feature film, yes. I mean, for me, when I started making movies, I first once I fall in love with the story, then I want to find what is the appropriate language where that story will be the most effective. So when I made Samsara, because it was going to be set in Ladakh, it was year 2000, 21 years ago, and I knew that I couldn't do it, but I had to wait 6-7 years to struggle to find producer who will believe in the vision that okay, Samsara should be made in Ladakhi and let's make it. So similarly, Valley of Flowers was in Hindi and Japanese because it's a love story. Starts in India in early 19th century, finishes in modern day Tokyo in Japan. So the whole Japanese part of last 50 minutes or an hour is in Japanese. So Angry Indian Goddesses was about urban women in India. So we all mix up Hindi and English the way we are. So it has. So when Chhello show's idea was conceived, I knew it had to be in Gujarati, otherwise it would not work.
સર ઘણા બધા લોકેશનમાં કામ કર્યા પછી પોતાના હોમ ગ્રાઉન્ડમાં આવીને કામ કરવાનો તફાવત શું લાગે તમને? કેમાં શું ક્યાં ખાટી મોડી તમારી યાદો કયો એના વિશે જરો.
અચ્છા, ઘરે આવીને હોમ ગ્રાઉન્ડ ખાલી એ સૌથી ગરમ ફાફડા જલેબી એ બીજે ક્યાંય ન મળે જાપાનમાં. નહીં, સરસ ખાવાનું મળે. કાઠિયાવાડી ફૂલ સૌથી મોટો ફરક એ છે. ના, बेसिकली ये उसी कोशिश में जुड़े हुए थे रॉय कपूर फिल्म्स के साथ, और बीच में से ये न्यूज आ गया तो हम तो और खुश हैं, और हमारे जो अमेरिकन डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है वो हमारे से भी ज्यादा खुश हैं, क्योंकि उन्होंने पहले ही प्रेडिक्ट किया था कि शायद छेल्लो शो, लास्ट फिल्म शो, स्ट्रॉन्ग कंटेंडर है. स्टोरी आई थिंक छेल्लो शो और लास्ट फिल्म को कहानी ऐसी है कि मुझे लग रहा है कि ये सब लोगों के साथ कनेक्ट होगी, क्योंकि इसमें एक कोई भी बड़ा या छोटा इंसान हो, कहीं भी इंडिया में रहता हो, उनके साथ कनेक्टेड स्टोरी है। क्योंकि हम सब सपने देखते हैं, हम जब छोटे होते हैं तभी भी सपने देखते हैं, बड़े हो जाते हैं तो भी हमारे सपने कहीं चले नहीं जाते, लेकिन वो सपने के पीछे हम कितना लगे रहे और उसको सक्सेसफुल करने के लिए कितनी कोशिश जारी रखते हैं, इसकी एक कहानी है। और ये भी जैसे हमारी टैगलाइन में लिखा हुआ है कि व्हेन यू हैव नथिंग, नथिंग कैन स्टॉप यू, तो ये कहानी का एक सेंट्रल थीम है।
सर, आपकी कहानी को दर्शाया गया है
सॉरी
आपकी कहानी को दर्शाया गया है कि आपकी ऑटोबायोग्राफी है कि आप सिनेमा के साथ प्यार कर रहे हैं।
तो हाँ, तो छेल्लो शो और लास्ट फिल्म शो पार्टली इंस्पायर्ड है मेरे खुद के बचपन में, जब मैं छोटा बच्चा था, काठियावाड़ और गांव में जब रहता था, तो मेरे पिताजी कभी पिक्चर देखने नहीं जाते थे, तो क्योंकि उनको लगता था कि फिल्मों से बहुत बड़ा अच्छा इम्प्रेशन नहीं होगा, लड़के कुछ गलत सीख लेंगे। तो लेकिन एक बार उन्होंने किया कि हम पिक्चर देखने जाएंगे, तो हमने सोचा अभी क्यों, क्या हुआ, तो बोले ये धार्मिक पिक्चर है। सो ये धार्मिक पिक्चर थी जय महाकाली, और जब मैंने ये पिक्चर देखी तब मैं थोड़ा पागल सा हो गया था, छोटा था, 8-9 साल था, और तब से मैंने सोचा था मुझे और कुछ करना ही नहीं है, कैसे भी करके फिल्मों में काम करना है। मुझे पता भी नहीं था फिल्म डायरेक्टर क्या होता है, फिल्म एक्टर क्या होता है, फिल्म कैसे बनती है, कुछ भी पता नहीं था, लेकिन ये पता था कि बस कैसे भी करके फिल्म के अंदर घुसना है मुझे। और तो ये कोशिश में करता रहा। हमारी एक टोली थी बच्चों की, 5-6 लोगों की, तो हमने काफी शरारतें की, हमने कहानियां बनाने की कोशिश की, हमने छोटे बच्चों की भवाई बनाने की कोशिश की, जो वहाँ फिल्म की रील रेलवे स्टेशन से जाती थी उसकी चोरियां भी की, तो उसमें पुलिस के साथ थोड़ा मुश्किल हो गया था मेरे फादर और मुझे। तो ये एक उस इंसिडेंट से आधारित है, लेकिन फिर भी ये जो कहानी है मैंने उसको 2010 में सेट किया है। 2010 में इसलिए क्योंकि तभी सारा हिंदुस्तान में, सारे इंडिया में सबके सब सिनेमा हॉल डिजिटल हो गए थे, और वो सेल्यूलॉइड जो था वाज गोइंग अवे एंड 35mm वाज बीइंग रिप्लेस्ड बाय डिजिटल। सो उसी वक्त लाखों प्रोजेक्शनिस्ट अपना जो नौकरी था, अपना जॉब था, वो अनएम्प्लॉय हो गए थे, उनके पास काम नहीं था, और उसी समय एक ऐसा बदलाव आया कि 10 साल के अंदर पूरा एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री अपसाइड डाउन।
तो ये इसका फिल्म का स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट क्या है थ्रू विच यू कैन विन एन ऑस्कर होपफुली? कौन सा स्ट्रॉन्ग?
देखो, हर एक फिल्म का स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट यही होता है इमोशन, कि आप कोई भी ऐसी फिल्म हो कि जिसमें ऐसी कहानी हो कि हम इतना हंसे भी और थोड़ा रोए भी, थोड़ी भूख भी लगे पिक्चर देख के, लेकिन इसके जब कहानी खत्म होती है तभी इंस्पिरेशन मिलना चाहिए। तो हम एंटरटेनमेंट तो कर दिया, लेकिन उसके बाद आई थिंक इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट दैट पीपल आर इंस्पायर्ड। सो मुझे लग रहा है कि छेल्लो शो और लास्ट फिल्म शो जिस तरह से लोग देखते हैं, वो हमें बोलते हैं कि भाई हमने मजा भी बहुत लिया, मनोरंजन भी हुआ और चित्ररंजन भी हो रहा है। तो दैट इज व्हाट आई थिंक इज मे बी अट्रैक्टिंग द पीपल, कि इट्स नॉट अ स्पून फेड एंटरटेनमेंट। इसमें हम सोचते हैं, बाहर निकलने के बाद सोचते हैं, अच्छा फील होता है कि भाई हम अपने जीवन के बारे में सोचते हैं, सिनेमा के बारे में सोचते हैं। ये जो भी लोगों ने बताया मैं वही रिपीट कर रहा हूँ 4-5 दिन से, और काफी लोग आके हमें बता रहे हैं, और कुछ तो ऐसी चीजें जो हमने प्लान भी नहीं की थी, सोची भी नहीं थी, और आके हमें बता रहे हैं कि भाई आपकी फिल्म देखने के बाद मुझे ये याद आ गया, मुझे ये करना चाहिए था। ये हर एक बच्चे को फिल्म देखनी चाहिए, हर एक फैमिली को देखनी चाहिए। आप उनको दिखाओ, आप वो पॉलिटिशियन को दिखाओ, आप वो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट को दिखाओ। तो मुझे लगता है सब अपनी अपनी खुद की कहानी बाहर आ जाती है हमारी फिल्म देख के, ऐसा लग रहा है।
चाइल्ड एक्टर्स को क्यों लिया गया है? खास बड़े भी हैं लोग, उन्हें नहीं लिया गया, कोई हीरो को नहीं लिया गया, छोटे बच्चों को, वो भी नए लोग हैं, ऐसे।
हाँ, तो ऐसा है ना कि हर एक कहानी में जो पात्र होता है उनका एक ऑथेंटिक अप्रोच, तो मेरा अप्रोच है मेरा ऑथेंटिक और रियलिस्टिक। जो बच्चे हैं, जो जिनमें बच्चों का जो रोल है, आप समझ लीजिए 6 बच्चे, उसमें भाविन रबारी जो समय का रोल कर रहे हैं, वो भी लीड रोल कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उनकी एक फ्रेंडशिप हो जाती है फिल्म प्रोजेक्ट थिएटर सिनेमा घर के अंदर, जो फिल्म में चलाते थे पहले सेल्यूलॉइड जमाने के। वो जो रोल है ये भावेश भाई ने प्ले किया है, भावेश तिवारी जो फजल का रोल करते हैं। तो ये एक्टर है दीपेन भाई जो उनके फादर का रोल करते हैं, रिचा मीना उनकी माँ का रोल करती है। तो ये प्रोफेशनल एक्टर है, और जो बच्चे हैं क्योंकि हमें एकदम ऑथेंटिक उसका अप्रोच चाहिए था, तो इसीलिए हमने बच्चे काठियावाड़ में से ढूंढे और उनके साथ वर्कशॉप और रिट्रीट करके छेल्लो शो के लिए तैयार किया।
સરજી લાસ્ટ મતલબ છેલ્લો શો એવું નામ શા માટે, એવું શું છે કે જેના કારણે એને નામ આપવામાં આવ્યું છેલ્લો શો?
अच्छा, गुजराती में
ગુજરાતીમાં પણ ચાલે. ઓકે.
तो छेल्लो शो नाम इसलिए दिया गया है कि आप जैसे पिक्चर देखेंगे पता लगेगा कि एक ऐसा सिनेमा घर की कहानी है जिसका नाम है गैलेक्सी, और वहां पे जहां समय और फजल की दोस्ती हुई थी वो थिएटर में बदलाव आ रहा है। वो लोग अपना 35mm सेल्यूलॉइड प्रोजेक्टर निकाल के डिजिटल प्रोजेक्टर को सेट कर रहे हैं, तो वहां उनका लास्ट शो चल रहा है, क्योंकि उसके बाद वो फिल्म जो पट्टी हम देखते थे पहले 35 वो कभी नहीं आएगी। उसका और तो फिल्म उसमें 2-3 मीनिंग है कि ये छेल्लो शो, इसका मतलब छेल्लो शो आखिरी शो, इसका मतलब ये भी है कि लास्ट फिल्म शो, मतलब ये ऐसा शो है कि दुनिया भर में फिल्म की पट्टी का आखिरी शो था 2010-11 में, क्योंकि हमने देखा है कि अभी सब सिनेमा डिजिटल हो गए, अभी कहीं पे भी 35 में प्रिंट दिखाना एकदम मुश्किल है।
જે શા માટે કાઠિયાવાડમાંથી જ બાળકો પસંદ કરવામાં આવ્યા, એવું કયું પાછું કે જેના કારણે ત્યાંથી જ તમારા માટે પસંદ કર્યા?
अच्छा, કાઠિયાવાડમાં એટલા માટે બાળકોને પસંદ કરવા કારણ કે સ્ટોરી આખી કાઠિયાવાડમાં જ છે, તો સ્ટોરીનું સેટિંગ છે એ ચલાલા, ધારી, સાસનગીર, એ આખી એકદમ કાઠિયાવાડનું કહેવાય ને હાર્ટ ઓફ કાઠિયાવાડ, તો એટલા માટે એ જરૂરી હતું કે કાઠિયાવાડી એનો લહેકો હોય ભાષાનો, કાઠિયાવાડી બોડી લેંગ્વેજ હોય, એ એક અલગ જ છે આખી, એટલા માટે। आई थिंक કલાકારોનું જે સિલેક્શન થયું મારી ફિલ્મમાં ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ છોકરાઓ કામ કરી રહ્યા છે, પણ આ લોકોએ તો કરેલું જ છે કામ, દીપેનભાઈ, ભાવિનભાઈ, ચામીના એક્ટર છે, પણ દરેક ફિલ્મમાં જ્યારે ઓડિશન થઈ એઝ એ ડાયરેક્ટર હું એમને લઉં છું ત્યારે મને ખબર છે કે થોડોક તો મારી એમની વિશ્વાસ હોવો જોઈએ એમની ટેલેન્ટમાં, એટલે आई डोंट थिंक दैट वाज डिफिकल्ट, इट इज नॉट जो काम है वही उनका पात्र को कैसे बिल्ड करना, उनका कैरेक्टर को कैसे बनाना, कि भाई इनका अगर पात्र है वो सारा जिंदगी प्रोजेक्शन रूम में बिताते थे, जैसे सुबह में आ गए, पिक्चर बदली, हर 3 घंटे फिर से लगाया, रात का शो 1 बजे खत्म हुआ, तो उनका पूरा जीवन ही एक प्रोजेक्शन रूम के अंदर है, और उनकी दुनिया वो सब वहां से ही देखते हैं, ऐसे छोटी वीडियो से फोकस करना, साउंड चेक करना, और घर गए थके थके वापस आ गए, तो उनका एक ये कैरेक्टर है, और उनका जो दुनिया के ऊपर जो ओपिनियन है वो ऐसे ही बदला, इस तरह से बना हुआ है कैरेक्टर का। इसी तरह से जो दीपेन भाई का जो रोल है बापू जी का, फादर का, तो उन्होंने सब कुछ गंवा दिया है, और उनके पास कुछ नहीं बचा, तो चाय का किटली चला रहे हैं रेलवे स्टेशन के ऊपर, और वो अपने लड़का जो समय है उससे नाराज है कि भाई वो कुछ पढ़े, आगे बढ़े, कुछ बने, जैसे हर एक पिताजी को होता है कि अपना बच्चा स्कूल में जाए, तो उनको ये पसंद है कि हर बार ये भाग जाता है पिक्चर देखने, तो उनका भी एक रोल है, उनकी भी एक कहानी है। फिर धीरे धीरे उनका जो कैरेक्टर है उसमें भी बदलाव आता है, जब वो अपने बच्चे की पैशन देखता है कि इसको कोई नहीं रोक सकता है, ये आगे जाएगा, इसको कुछ भी नहीं रोक सकता, और ये बच्चे में टैलेंट है, तभी ये खुद ही अपना दिल के ऊपर बोलते हैं ना, पत्थर रख के सपोर्ट सिस्टम बन जाते हैं।
थैंक यू।
ये पिक्चर अभी बहुत लैंग्वेज में पब्लिश हुई है, क्योंकि जो हमारे फ्रेंच सेल्स एजेंट है ऑरेंज स्टूडियो, और नलिन भाई के प्रीवियस फिल्म्स भी बहुत कंट्री में बिकी है, तो अभी तो हम स्पेन में रिलीज हुआ स्पेनिश लैंग्वेज में, जर्मनी में रिलीज हुआ जर्मन लैंग्वेज में, इटली में रिलीज होने वाली है मेड्यूसा कंपनी के साथ जो बहुत बड़ी स्टूडियो है, वो इटालियन लैंग्वेज में होगी, जापान में होने वाली है जापानीज लैंग्वेज में, ताइवान में हुई है ताइवानीज लैंग्वेज में, तो क्लोज टू 10-15 लैंग्वेज में तो डब हो जाएगी, और एटलीस्ट 30 कंट्री में रिलीज होगी पिक्चर सिनेमा में, और फिर जब बाद में जब सिनेमा का रिलीज पूरा होगा, जब हमारी इंडिया सिनेमा रिलीज पूरी होगी, तो शायद OTT में भी रिलीज होगी और वहां भी बहुत डब होगी।
कितना बजट लगा और आप लोगों को कितना इसमें पैसा मिल रहा है, कितना कमाई?
ये सब बिजनेस डिस्कशन है मैडम। हम लोग आर्टिस्ट है, हम लोग कलाकार है, तो बिजनेस के डिस्कशन में इतना मजा नहीं आता है। हम प्रोड्यूसर है फिल्म पे, तो मैं ये बोलूंगा कि कम बजट नहीं थी और पैसा कमा लेंगे। दोनों हो जाएगा।
शो में कुछ कभी देखा उसमें शोज बहुत कम है, क्योंकि अगर किसी बच्चे को देखना है तो नाइट शो में प्रेफर नहीं करेंगे।
हाँ।
तो शोज ज्यादा करोगे तो ही लोग देख पाएंगे और लोग ज्यादा चलेंगे।
सही है।
कोई भी सबने बोला देखा तो 315 का शो, सब में एक शो ही है, तो शो आगे क्यों नहीं, मतलब थोड़े और चाहिए।
तो क्या होता है कि आपने सही बोला, हम एक्चुअली हमारे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स को वो ही बोल रहे हैं कि शो बढ़ानी चाहिए और वो बढ़ा रहे। क्या होता है ना, कल रात को हम लोग ने एक एक्सपेरिमेंट किया कि 95 सिनेमाज में, क्योंकि 95th ऑस्कर है हमारा जो हम जा रहे हैं, 95 सिनेमाज में हम लोग ने 95 रुपीज में टिकट करके किया है। क्योंकि जब ये वर्ल्ड इंडिया सिनेमा दिन हुआ था और 75 रुपीज में टिकट निकाले थे, तो जो सिनेमाज भर के गए, सिनेमा ओनर को, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को बहुत अच्छा लगा। तो हमें भी लगा कि जैसा हमारा फिल्म है, ये एलीट फिल्म नहीं है, ये फिल्म नहीं है कि सिर्फ सिटीज में देखनी चाहिए या मल्टीप्लेक्सेस में देखनी चाहिए, सब लोग को एक्सेस होना चाहिए। तो कल हम लोग ने ये एक्सपेरिमेंट किया और ये एक्सपेरिमेंट बहुत अच्छी हो गई है। सब शो 95 में थे। आज से ये वीकेंड पे भी हम लोग एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे हैं कि शो 150 रुपीज के ऊपर नहीं करें। हम लोग ने ऐसा बोला है, पीवीआर जो हमारे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स है, रॉय कपूर फिल्म्स, हम लोग ने सब मन से लगा के किया है कि हम लोग ये फिल्म एक्सपेंसिव नहीं रखेंगे ताकि बहुत लोग देख पाए। और स्टूडेंट्स को भी हम लोग को अभी आफ्टरनून शोज, इवनिंग शोज हमें ज्यादा करनी है। ऐसे फिल्म है जो बिना स्टार के बनती है ना, जो एग्जिबिटर को भी थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए। तो अभी अगर आप लोग अच्छे लिखेंगे और अच्छे दिखाएंगे तो वीकेंड पे जो वर्ड ऑफ माउथ बिल्ड होगा तो ही अच्छे फिल्म और अच्छे शो और ज्यादा शो मिलेंगे। और अभी भी हमारे स्क्रीन कम है पर शोज ज्यादा है, जो हमारे गुजराती, और क्या है ना, ये गुजराती फिल्म है, लोग को लगता है कि गुजराती फिल्म जैसे रिलीज होती है ऐसे रिलीज होनी चाहिए, पर हम लोग ने बोला है कि अभी गुजराती फिल्म है तो सही, और गुजराती का गर्व है और प्राइड है, लेकिन, और गुजरात का प्राइड है, लेकिन ये अभी इंडियन सिनेमा बन गया है। तो जो हमने शो फिल्म चेन्नई में दिखाई थी या कोची में दिखाई थी या हैदराबाद में दिखाई थी, हैदराबाद में हमें पता चला कि कल दोनों जो तीनों स्क्रीन में है पूरे सब हाउसफुल थे, बॉम्बे में हाउसफुल थे, चेन्नई में हाउसफुल थे। तो हमें लगता है, और लोग ताली मार रहे, सीटी मार रहे, और इन लोग जो गुजराती शायद समझ भी नहीं सकते, सबटाइटल देख के और परफॉर्मेंस देख के उन लोग सीटी मार रहे। तो हमें लगता है कि जो वर्ड ऑफ माउथ बढ़ेगा और जो आपके सपोर्ट से हमें 2-3 दिन में ज्यादा शोज भी मिल जाएंगे। ज्यादा शो चाहिए हमें। हमना तो